So she moved in, and but prior to moving in, then we had to look about having someone to go in and provide some of the support. So the package identified myself and a few of my other sisters as part of her circle of friends, me being the main carer, because obviously I was Anne's carer, but they'd also be providing support, i.e. helping her to go shopping at the weekend, or I don't know, going out for a meal, or she'd be popping up to their house, whatever Anne wanted to do. And 11 hours were allocated for Anne to have support, paid support. So the hours were identified around the tea time hour, where Anne, because she was living at home, I was always doing everything for her. Even though she could make the basic things, she hadn't cooked herself a meal or made base in an oven. So that was where we identified every day apart from a Saturday, because Anne would come to me, and then she could probably have lunch here or tea here on a Saturday with me. Which Anne initially agreed to, but she doesn't do that anymore, because Anne wants to do her own thing now, because she doesn't need me. But so initially it was all around there. So in order then to find who was going to be doing that, because me being my miserable, well, who's going to provide all of this then for me? And an agency, Active Support, was recommended to me, but it didn't have to be the agency I needed to use. It's just a name, because I didn't know of any agencies. So they said, well, we've used Active Support in the past, try them and see what you think. So I said, well, yes, and if I'm going to do that, then I need to see the person who's in charge of this so-called Active Support agency, and I need to sit down and see whether she can meet the needs of my sister. So a meeting was set up for myself to meet Tammy, who's one of the partners in Active Support. And I thought, right, I'm going to get Tammy, I'll let her know whether she's going to be looking after my sister or not. And I had a list of questions, what about consistency? Can you provide that? Yeah, okie dokie. What about flexibility? How flexible? Oh, very, very flexible. Or what about the people that Anne, does she have a say? Oh, yes, she does have a say. What, say if Anne doesn't like them? Well, she can just say it can be changed. Well, they have training? Yes, they've got training. Have they got expert in the area? Yeah, they got experts. So every area that I threw at her, they were met, and she wasn't floored by them. It's like, yeah, no worries about that. In myself, whatever, I've got training. So I thought, okay, then give it a try. Wasn't committing myself to anything, so I said, okay, go ahead, no problems at all. I arranged to meet Tammy to find out from Tammy what Active Support could offer Anne by way of support for what she needed and what we'd identified. So she was able to tell me my two main fears were flexibility and consistency, because I personally don't like inconsistency, not knowing who's going to be here or there or whatever else. So why would somebody else want to have that when somebody's coming into your house now to work with you? I think it's a bit unfair that you have 500 people trooping in your house every other week. So Tammy was able to do that. Anne was at that particular meeting then, that time, and Anne was quite happy to accept what was going on, as me doing a lot of the talking. But then Tammy asked if she could meet Anne to then speak with Anne to find out what Anne's needs were all about. And she has spent quite a while with Anne, talking to her, what do you like doing, what your friends like, just find out what she's all about. And through that, then she felt that she'd probably find the right people who were able to work with Anne, looking at Anne's particular needs then. So she identified Rachel and Jade, and she explained to Anne, and she said today, she said, oh, I think you'd like my friend Jade, who could probably come in and work with you, and my friend Rachel. And she explained, Jade's at college, so she does this part-time, and, she'll be able to come and help you. Rachel's very good at cooking, and she loves baking, so if you like baking, Rachel will be the ideal person, and, she's got a family. So she told Anne all about them prior to. So Anne had a picture of who they were as well. So when they first came to work with Anne, Tammy came and introduced Rachel, and Tammy came and introduced Jade to Anne. So they weren't all together in a big group, they came on different days. So Anne got to be introduced and known what days, and And which she always did is ask for their telephone numbers. So she gave telephone numbers and asked where they lived. Why, I don't know. So she got their addresses and whatever. And she, when I said to Anne, how how are they? Do you like them? Oh yeah, they're my friends. And she calls them her friends. She doesn't say my support worker. They're her friends who come in. Jade, my friend. Rachel, my friend. So that alone tells me then that, she clearly enjoys having their company. For me now, it's a different story because Anne's very trustworthy. I'm not as trustworthy as. So I needed to find out what they're all about and find and see, are you just smiling for me and, got your fist up behind my back? I don't know. So a year on down the line, just by talking, just ringing up, find out Anne's doing, or them ringing me up and just saying, I'll let you know that we're doing this, Anne and I are going to be doing this, or Anne says she wants to do this and we're wondering, can we pass it by you and see what you think? We've had this relationship that's built up now where, I'll be talking to Jade and chatting to Jade and chatting to Rachel. So when we go round, we'll probably sit down the house, Anne, Jade, Rachel and myself, or whoever's on duty, and we're sitting there just talking and having a laugh and having a cup of tea, and tea's already done out of the way, and we're probably waiting for the Weight Watchers class to start, and just literally just sitting down and having a chat as if you're sitting there having a chat to friends, but knowing still that Anne's needs are being met at all times. And both Anne and I have got fantastic relationships with Tammy, Jade and Rachel, who work very flexibly within Anne's scheme of things. And it may be if she's off on a Thursday because college are closed, because she goes to college on a Thursday, then Jade might say, okay, then I know that instead of sitting at home all day long, why don't we do something in the daytime? And then, then instead of doing it for the evening instead. Which is fantastic, because who wants to be sitting at home all day when the weather's nice and then going out in the evening when it's a bit darker? So that's the flexibility that happens. And they might go swimming in the daytime instead of going swimming in the evening time that time. Or they may, not have tea and probably do swimming and do McDonald's, or go bowling, or do something different because, the time is that she has the time then. Which again I find very appreciative because Anne loves that as well. Or it might be doing that Anne's doing the banking, because when they go in the evening time it's quite difficult because it's all a rush out before the banks close. But they go in the daytime instead, and they can get to do a bit of banking and do a bit of shopping and have lunch out and then go home, which is brilliant. Both of them Anne absolutely adored. She adored the fact that they were very different. Jade is very much the outgoing person, and she'll do a lot of outside activities, and Rachel's very, very good in sort of like doing a lot of the shopping with Anne and keeping the house intact. So Anne loves it because she knows that, okay, when I'm with Rachel then I need to buckle down, but when I'm with Jade, woohoo, I can go gallivanting. Not to say that either one won't fulfill the other one's role, but Anne's comfortable with that because then she's able to identify who's doing what with her. So she's very happy with that. So they've been with Anne now, the same two, Jade and Rachel, for the last year. I'd probably say she moved in February, about a year and 4 months now. And things have just got better and better and better. A fortnight ago, Anne went away for a weekend with Jade and another service user and another person from a member of staff from Active Support. And she rang me from her bathtub, which is a jacuzzi bathtub, at Centre Parks, telling me she's having a fantastic time. Needless to say, I nearly popped the phone down on her, but out of sheer jealousy. But she clearly was having a fantastic time, and she came back saying, I can't wait, next year I'm going back again. And usually Anne's like, no, you're okay, I'll be in, I don't need to go again. And she's quite eager to go. So within all of that, that just tells me how happy she is with Active Support. Also within Active Support, within that year period, I'm very much in contact with Jade and Rachel because I see them regular. I speak to them very regular. If they have any queries, they'll ring me. It's not a matter, well, I didn't want to disturb you. It's like, listen, Ange, what do you reckon to this? Or we're going to do this, what do you think? And also Tammy. Tammy's still kept very close in the sense that I've said, well, Tammy, I think, Anne doesn't particularly need the tea time area cover now because she's already sorted it. She comes home and tea is already sorted. But she does need to try and encourage her to build relationships So she can then go out and get her own friends instead of relying upon other people to make that friendship for her. So, and within that now the hours have been changed in order for Anne to do that. And it was no problem. It wasn't a matter of, well, we'll do that in the next 4 weeks when we were able to rearrange Jade and Rachel's timetable. It was immediately done in order to suit Anne's needs. So at all times, I feel that the agency have met Anne's needs and my silly demands without any fuss or bother at all, which again makes me feel very much at ease.